about time. Go on. Let's go.
In 2 weeks, these soldiers will take part in field training exercises. If improperly executed, many of these exercises can cause environmental damage. That is why good planning includes a recce of the areas where the maneuvers will take place and the bivouacs will be located. We attach equal importance to the environmental impact as to the maneuvers themselves. These two unit representatives leave today on a recce mission.
Lake Percival. I'm interested in the area of Lake Percival today.
Sir, we'll have to consider an urban zone right off the BIV area. For that, you'd have to consider landing sites that are in a quieter location.
Noise bothers everybody. For people living close to the base, the intensity and frequency of noise can be irritating. Intense noises also cause stress in animals. And that is why air crews must respect flying orders, which take into account inhabited areas and wildlife migration corridors. Non-respect of these orders will not just provoke the anger of the local population. You may also find yourself facing legal actions. The same applies to artillery fire. We cannot just fire in any place at any time. It is essential to respect schedules and weapon templates. In this way, we remain on good terms with the people who live in close proximity to our training sectors and ensure the safety of soldiers in training. Another exercise that makes a lot of noise is resupplying. And as you know, this operation normally takes place at night for operational requirements. We want to avoid bothering the civilian population with the noise of engines and the handling of equipment. During recce, identify an isolated location to perform nighttime resupplying. Bivouacs must be set up in accordance with range standing orders.
Yes, indeed. I think we'll set up the bivouac here, the same as last year.
Yeah, and for the wastewaters, we're going to have to provide for a passage for the tanker truck.
Agreed.
Wastewater must be reclaimed. We install reservoirs to collect these wastes, which will subsequently be shipped to the base's sewage plant. Even our kitchens selectively reclaim food wastes. Expired or uneaten foods are shipped to transformation plants that use this food material to produce compost or animal feed. Again, to protect the environment, all bivouacs must be equipped with latrines because human excrement pollutes the environment.
Some troops left in a hurry.
Yes, but we'll have to make sure that we pick up our warriors at the end.
When the time comes to strike the bivouac, it is very important to pick up all the communication wires. If not, troops on maneuver are exposed to the risk of accidents caused by these abandoned wires, which can also snare animals. Exercises that use wire-guided anti-tank missiles create the same dangers. It is essential to periodically clear the area of all missile guide wires.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll centralize all fuels in a single POL point.
All units operating in training areas must set up a temporary POL depot, which will reduce the risk of contamination and fire. The POL depot must be set up at more than 30 meters from a waterway. However, if that is not possible, you must obtain authorization from the base environmental officer. If you don't have your standard equipment, you can improvise a temporary POL depot. Spread a water-resistant sheet on the ground. The idea is to create a retention basin that will contain leaks. To do so, The ground sheet must be raised around the edges. If you have trouble leveling the ground, use wood pallets. As much as possible, the location must be covered to shelter it from the elements. This shelter can be built using a section of a modular tent or by suspending a tarpaulin. If, despite taking precautions, you do contaminate the ground with hydrocarbons, you must reclaim the contaminated soil. Load it into the reinforced bags provided for this purpose. These bags must be delivered to the base supply section, which is equipped with containers for contaminated soil. For long-term storage, we use specialized equipment such as Instaberms. Another location which must be carefully prepared to absorb oil and any other chemicals that might leak out is the site selected for vehicle repair and maintenance. First, spread a water-resistant, absorbent membrane on the ground. All vehicle repairs must be carried out above this ground sheet, which will catch any chemicals that may leak from the vehicles. All used oils, transmission fluids, solvents, antifreeze, and any other chemicals must be collected and sent to the base supply section. None of these products can ever be disposed of in a natural setting. One of the more technically complex operations is refueling during field operations. For your security, the grounding guidelines must be followed during refueling and while transferring fuels or any other volatile, explosive product. Once again, you must use absorbent ground sheets in case of spills. To prevent fuel spills, never lay a gas pump nozzle on the ground. Place it in a container or hook it back onto the pump. When refueling between two fuel trucks, a grounding cable must be connected between the tanks of the trucks. This connection must never be made against paint or insulating material. The contact must be made from metal to metal. If you do not eliminate static electricity by installing grounding cables, you run the risk of an explosion.
Myself, I love fishing. About this river, it is possible to avoid it completely. That even if the vehicles can cross it. I know a location about 1 kilometer from here where we can cross it by this road. Yes. That way we avoid this area completely.
Excellent.
When on a recce, it is essential to identify the presence of waterways. For every waterway you have to cross, you must use an oil slick boom, which absorbs oils and fluids that escape from vehicles. Hydrocarbons released into water affect flora and fauna, negatively impacting on the ecosystem. For permanent sites, there is another way to limit damage caused by vehicles crossing waterways. Line the riverbed with stones or chunks of concrete and reinforce the banks to reduce erosion. In the same way, all exercises that involve the swimming of vehicles must be executed at designated sites. In this way, we can reduce damage to the environment. Remember, all vehicles that cross waterways leave their mark. They muddy the water by stirring up sediments. This can kill fish eggs, not to mention hydrocarbons that contaminate the water. For example, we know that 1 liter of oil can contaminate 1 million liters of water. Another way to prevent water pollution is to prohibit washing vehicles near waterways. For the same reason, all work performed near waterways must be carefully planned, and this planning must include the reinforcement of shorelines.
There's been lots of training in this whole area here over the past few years.
Yes, and it's starting to show, eh? We can't train on this site this year. They want the vegetation to grow again.
Okay, I'll take note of that.
Tracked vehicles in particular can inflict serious damage to the topsoil. So, during training exercises, it is important to use roads designated for these vehicles and to respect speed limits. Once you have completed a training exercise, the area must be left in its original state. If you have used smoke grenades or other munitions, the range clearing operation is essential. You must reclaim all metal cartridges and plastic cases, as well as cardboard boxes and wooden crates. All these objects must be taken to the base supply service. The reclaimed objects will be sold to transformation plants, and you'll benefit from the sale because the money will be reinvested in our training activities. You must always ascertain the security perimeters of exercises using gas to ensure that you do not bother people living nearby.
Yes, and it's beginning to show a bit. By the way, Sergeant Major, we have to check with range control about the fire index.
Okay, sir. Well, I'll take care of it when we go by the gate a little bit later.
Campfires are not permitted without authorization. This precaution is for your safety. For example, if the fire danger is high, authorization will be refused. If live ammunition has been fired on the site where you are positioned, campfires will be forbidden because of the danger of explosion. Unexploded shells might be buried in the ground. The conservation of training areas is the responsibility of each and every soldier. This responsibility is not only legal in nature. No training exercise can justify irreparable damage to the environment. We are convinced that protecting the environment in no way diminishes the value and efficiency of your training. In fact, protecting these sites allows us to maintain realistic training activities. We believe by protecting the environment, you will be ensuring the future of our planet.